Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I am Mr. Twister WX, and in this video I have an emergency update for you guys on a particularly dangerous situation which is going to take place tomorrow in Colorado. So you can see this is from the National Weather Service in Denver/Boulder from 5:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, December 18th. So this came out just about 6 hours ago. So this is a PDS. This is the first ever PDS red flag warning to be issued in the state of Colorado. You can see the foothills and along Colorado Highway 93 and westward. So that is near Boulder. This whole area that is outlined in the white near Jamestown, Boulder, Rocky Flats, northwest of Golden. So the relative humidity is going to be 8 to 20%, and then those sustained winds in the same corridor where we saw our damaging winds Wednesday, 45 to 55 miles per hour, but the highest gusts could make it upwards of 100 miles per hour. The highest we saw in this area was 116 on Wednesday, but we could top that along Highway 93 in the Golden area. So uncertainty is if the strongest winds will make it past Highway 93 and US 36 or not. So if it'll make it east of there. So that is what we were looking at in terms of our PDS. But now we're going to move into fire weather outlooks, more of our red flag warning. And then we'll also be looking at some power shutoffs that are coming with this event. So stay tuned. PDS, this shows the peak wind gust probability. So near Jamestown, Colorado, Allens Park lines, Jamestown, you guys could see 95 to 100 miles an hour. Boulder, 70 to 75. Golden, 60 to 65. Down in Ken Carroll, 40 to 45. Evergreen is in the 60 to 65 range. Again, these are estimated gusts, but gusts can come and go, and it may get above that. Sustained in most of these areas will peak around 50 to 60, but these forecasts tend to have a little bit of leeway, so could be 20 miles an hour under what the gusts are forecast or 20 miles an hour over. So be prepared in Boulder County for gusts upwards of 100 miles per hour at the times, and then in Jeffco more like 50 to 75. But you guys have the potential to see upwards of 90, especially in the Golden area and in extreme northwest Jefferson County. Alright, so now we're going to read through the urgent fire weather message from the National Weather Service in Denver/Boulder. This was last updated just before 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Thursday, December 18th, 2025, so the night before the event. But once again, those winds are going to start around 6 a.m. and they will intensify throughout the day, and our peak will be during the day and early evening hours in Jefferson and Boulder counties. So you can see this is a particularly dangerous situation for in and immediately adjacent to the foothills between 5,500 and 9,000 feet for Boulder and Jefferson counties on Friday. So strong west winds sustained 45 to 55 miles per hour with gusts upwards of 85 to 105 are expected in the foothills of Boulder and Jefferson counties beginning early Friday morning. Once again, localized, you guys could see wind gusts upwards of, I would even go as far as to say that it would not entirely shock me if we saw a gust come out of Boulder or Jefferson County above 120 miles per hour or within that range. So those are expected in the foothills of Boulder and Jefferson counties. Once again, beginning early Friday morning, relative humidity values are expected to drop into the low teens, possibly upper single digits. So red flag conditions, critical fire weather are expected in northern Colorado. The most extreme conditions are expected to be along Highway 93 from Jefferson County into Boulder County, along US Highway 36, so that is going to be north of Boulder towards the Larimer County line. So Larimer County as well is going to be looking at this threat. Not sure why it's not mentioned up here, but they are in that red flag warning. Also portions of western and northwestern Douglas County along with extreme western Adams are in that red flag warning, at least according to Radar Omega, but sometimes they're a bit weird with their wind alerts, so may be wrong on that, but we could check the National Weather Service website later. They are very close, though, so winds towards I-25 and eastward will be slower to develop, and also speeds will be considerably lighter. That said, gusts of 25 to 40 are still expected to combine with very low humidity and cured grasses to support critical fire weather conditions. Areas further east into eastern Adams, Arapahoe, Elbert, and Lincoln counties have more uncertainty if those winds even develop, so those locations remain under a fire weather watch. So in those counties listed, so that is eastern Adams, Arapahoe, Elbert, Lincoln, you guys are looking at a fire weather watch, as those winds are pretty uncertain whether or not they're going to develop. And then as you get closer to I-25, the winds will weaken, and then around I-25 near Lone Tree, you guys are looking at gusts from 25 to 40, But that means in northwest Douglas County, western Adams, portions of Denver County, it would not shock me if we saw gusts around 45 to 60 at times. So to finish off this video, you can see we are on the XL Energy website. You can see the header for this part of the page is Public Safety Power Shutoff required for Friday, December 19th. Restoration from Wednesday, Public Safety Power Shutoff, severe weather ongoing. So this was updated at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, Thursday, December 18th, 2025. So our current situation is based on current weather forecasts, including extreme wind and critically dry conditions that match or exceed what occurred on Wednesday. XL Energy will implement a PSPS for about 69,000 customers in Boulder, Clear Creek, Gilpin, Jefferson, Larimer, and Weld counties on Friday, December 19th. This will begin as early as 5 a.m. Friday. So weather conditions are expected to start improving around 6 p.m., though those high winds may create wildfire risk and cause outages that are expected to continue through the evening. I want to clarify on this because lots of people have been confused, and XL has confirmed that they did not communicate this well on their part. Just because they say that the power will come back on at 6 p.m. does not mean that, because the whole reason they're doing this is to prevent a wildfire. If there is a down line, it is going to take hours, maybe even days, up to 3 days, they've said, at times, to repair lines to get them back on, because if they just flip a switch and turn it back on, it's not going to go well, because if there is a power line down, it could spark and cause a fire, so they have to inspect every line before they turn it back on. As you can see, it says, restoring outages from this significant weather event as well as a widespread PSPS will be challenging and is expected to take several hours to several days. Crews cannot begin restoration until severe weather and wildfire risks have passed, and they must inspect power lines and repair damage before lines can be safely re-energized. So what they mean by this is it looks like around 6 p.m. Friday evening, high winds will stop to create the wildfire risk, and they will begin to examine the lines. So they are aware that Friday's storm may include some communities impacted by Wednesday's severe weather, so some areas could be without power for more than 3 days. Turning off the power is not a decision they take lightly. All of this stuff. And then you could see we got up to about 200,000, closer to around 150,000 actually, customers without power in Colorado at the height of Wednesday's wind event. And as of right now, we are down to 8,000, but that number is expected to rise again tomorrow. So if you are expecting power outages in your area, keep your phone charged. There are stations where you can go to get your stuff charged up and stay warm. So you can see the Evergreen Library, Gilpin County School, Health and Wellness Center, and the Wellspring Catholic Academy. All these places you can do phone charging and other resources there. So just stay safe out there. Have a kit for power outages. Make sure you have non-perishable food. Keep those fridges and freezers closed. Make sure you know how to open your garage, open and close it manually. If you have an electric vehicle, charge that now. And keep your vehicles parked outside if you do not know how to operate your garage manually. But with that being said, that is going to be the end of this wind update video. This is my typical type of content where we go into stuff like this, like power outage stuff and other things like that. But for a wind event like this, I just figured why not. So that is going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.